Breaking news! There's been plenty of discussion about the Cincinnati Bengals defensive line this offseason, but one addition continues to generate curiosity for a very specific reason. Expectations are naturally high, comparisons are unavoidable, and the biggest question isn't simply whether this player can make an impact, it's how he actually wins on the football field. Before we dive into everything, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. If you enjoy in-depth Bengals coverage that breaks down what really shows up on the tape instead of relying on headlines, you won't want to miss what's coming throughout the season. Now, let's get to what really matters. One of the most intriguing additions to Cincinnati's defensive front this offseason is Boye Mafe. From the moment his arrival became official, many fans immediately connected the move to the discussion surrounding Trey Hendrickson. That comparison was almost impossible to avoid, but looking closely at Mafe's game reveals something important. This isn't simply about trying to replace one player with another. It's about adding a defender whose skill set brings different strengths to the defensive line. The first impression surrounding Mafe is easy to understand. He arrived after playing on a defensive line filled with talented players, which naturally limited both his snap count and overall production. While the statistical output may not have reached the level many fans immediately focus on, the film tells a much deeper story. There are several traits that consistently appear regardless of the opponent, and those traits explain why Cincinnati believed he could become an important piece of the defense. One of the first things that immediately stands out is his explosiveness off the snap. There are edge rushers who gradually build speed into the play, and then there are players who instantly force offensive tackles into uncomfortable positions before they even settle into their pass sets. Mafe belongs in that second category. On one example against rookie left tackle Kelvin Banks Jr., his first step completely changes the rep almost immediately. His burst forces the tackle to open his hips much earlier than desired. Once that happens, Mafe shows excellent hand usage by chopping away the blocker's arm before ripping through the edge. At that point, once he clears the tackle's hips, the offensive lineman has very few options left. The quarterback is forced to get rid of the football quickly, simply because the pressure arrives so fast. That kind of get-off naturally reminds people of Trey Hendrickson. Both players show the ability to explode off the ball and immediately stress offensive tackles. But that's where many of the similarities begin to separate. The way Mafe actually finishes his rushes is noticeably different. Rather than relying primarily on overwhelming power through the blocker, Mafe often prefers attacking outside before quickly transitioning inside. His lateral agility becomes one of his biggest weapons. That showed up clearly against Trent Williams. Even against one of the league's premier offensive tackles, Mafe recognized almost instantly that trying to continue around the outside wasn't going to work. Williams beat him to the corner. Instead of stubbornly continuing into a losing position, Mafe adjusted his approach in real time. A subtle hesitation forced Williams slightly off balance before Mafe used his hands to swipe inside, slipping through the opening that developed. What makes that sequence impressive isn't simply the move itself. It's how quickly the decision happens. Everything unfolds in fractions of a second. Recognizing that the outside lane has disappeared, identifying that the defensive tackle is occupying the guard, seeing the inside opportunity appear, and then executing the move all happen almost instantly. That type of awareness only comes from years of experience playing the position and developing an instinct for how blocking schemes unfold. Those moments demonstrate that Mafe isn't relying solely on athletic ability. He combines speed with recognition, allowing him to create pressure in multiple ways. Another area where his tape becomes particularly encouraging is against the run. Run defense rarely creates highlight reels, but it often determines whether a defense can consistently get opponents behind schedule. According to the evaluation presented, this may actually be one of the areas where Mafe provides even more value. On one play, involving a pulling center attempting to kick him out, Mafe quickly recognized what was developing. Instead of allowing himself to be displaced, he attacked the block with force, squeezed the running lane, and eliminated the space before it ever truly opened. The result was essentially nowhere for the running back to go. What stands out isn't simply physical strength, it's recognition. He understands when a blocker is attempting to influence him instead of directly engaging him, and he responds immediately rather than reacting late. That ability also appears when facing tight ends. Rather than always meeting every block head-on, Mafe occasionally chooses a different solution. On another run play, instead of absorbing contact, he slipped underneath the attempted block entirely before making the tackle. It's a calculated decision. The approach carries risk because missing the play could create a significant running lane. But understanding when to take that chance demonstrates confidence in both his athletic ability and his understanding of the play design. Those moments add an element of unpredictability to the defense. Instead of simply executing the assignment in a conventional way every time, he occasionally creates negative plays by recognizing opportunities others might ignore. Another consistent theme throughout the evaluation is his hand usage. Whether attacking the outside shoulder of an offensive tackle or transitioning inside, Mafe repeatedly shows active hands that prevent blockers from establishing firm control. Combined with his first-step quickness, those techniques frequently force quarterbacks to speed up their decision-making process, even when the play doesn't officially become a sack. Pressure matters. Forcing quarterbacks to move from their preferred launch point often creates opportunities for the rest of the defensive line as well. That broader impact becomes an important part of understanding what Cincinnati expects from him. Not every successful defensive lineman finishes every pressure with a sack. Sometimes collapsing the pocket or forcing the quarterback to step into another defender creates the same overall defensive result. Of course, no evaluation is complete without discussing areas where improvement remains possible. One aspect mentioned involves bend around the edge. Mafe has enough flexibility to threaten offensive tackles, but there are occasions where tighter cornering ability could turn pressures into sacks. A play against Anton Harrison illustrates the point. He successfully wins around the edge initially, but instead of maintaining an extremely tight path toward the quarterback, he loops slightly wider, allowing the quarterback enough space to step forward. The pressure still affects the play, but the statistical production ultimately belongs to someone else, or becomes simply another pressure rather than a sack. That doesn't necessarily represent a major flaw. Instead, it suggests there may still be production left on the field if that part of his game continues developing. Even so, the overall picture remains encouraging. His speed off the snap consistently appears. His hand usage repeatedly creates opportunities. His ability to recognize blocking schemes stands out. His run defense provides value in multiple situations. His willingness to attack pulling blockers aggressively helps eliminate running lanes before they fully develop. His ability to slip blocks introduces another dimension to the defense. Taken together, those qualities explain why he fits into Cincinnati's plans. Rather than asking him to become someone else, the expectation is for him to contribute his own style within a defensive front built around multiple complementary skill sets. The discussion ultimately returns to one central idea. This was never presented as a direct one-for-one replacement for Trey Hendrickson. Instead, Boye Mafe offers a different profile that addresses several important areas. He brings energy, consistent effort, pass rush ability, active hands, run defense, and versatility that can strengthen the defensive line as a whole. If everything comes together the way Cincinnati hopes, the value of this addition may extend far beyond individual sack totals. His pressure, recognition, and ability to complement the players around him could become just as important as any single statistic recorded throughout the season. Now the conversation shifts to you. After looking at the traits that consistently appear on the tape, his explosive first step, his ability to attack inside, his run defense, his active hands, and the areas where there is still room for growth, what stands out the most to you? Do you believe Boye Mafe can become one of the key pieces of Cincinnati's defensive front this season? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'd really like to hear what you think. Who day